Welcome into a Week 9 version of BSP Sunday Morning Fantasy, part of the Zero Technique Football Podcast. We are Ryan Stern, Marthony Sanders. We both are with backsportspage.com. Marthony, how are you today?
Oh man, I'm doing pretty good. Um, it really seemed like we just started the season and we're already halfway through it.
It's unbelievable.
It's I look up and it's like it's week 9 and now we're seriously sitting up here talking about playoff positioning. Um, some people might be on some real hot right now on some winning streaks as far as in fantasy, or they could be a losing streak like like me. But it's a very fun time right now as we get through this halfway point of this 17 game season.
It really is unreal. So we literally are right at the halfway point. So we got 8 weeks behind us. After this week, got 8 weeks in front of us. It's flying by.
Yeah,
I'm looking. I looked at. I'm like, it can't be week 9 already. It can't.
right.
So we got a great show. We've got studs, and sleepers to cap off the show. But to open up, we are going to talk a little Vegas lines. As always, if you have any lineup questions, and I'm sure there's a ton of lineup questions this week. You have bye weeks, you have quarterbacks who are telling us that they're vaccinated and they're really not vaccinated, and now they're out for a week. We've got big quarterbacks who are injured. We've got lesser known quarterbacks who people could have been streaming that are out with injuries. This is a crazy week for fantasy.
Wide receivers are missing. No DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley.
There's a chance we
it's a
don't
lot
see
going on.
Deebo Samuel later on today as well, which kill. But I mean, Deebo has been the guy that has carried me in my two first place the two leagues that I'm in first place in. It's been Deebo Samuel and Mark Andrews. And Cordarrelle Patterson. So thank you for your Falcons, who haven't done a whole lot for fantasy football this year, except for Cordarrelle Patterson. So
Right.
I thank you for that. So before we get into studs, and sleepers, and again, if you have any line of questions, leave them in the comments. We will answer them live on air. Let's get into some of our favorite Vegas lines for this week. So we're each going to give 3 that we like. So why don't you start off with your first one?
The first one I'm looking at, I see the Patriots and the Panthers matchup. The total line for it, I believe, is 41.5.
Yeah.
I don't know the how healthy Sam Darnold could be. And obviously, we know what the Patriots like to do. They're probably going to want the ball control, make Mac Jones continue to be a game manager. The defenses both look pretty good the last couple of weeks here, so I'm definitely leaning towards the under in that one, just because of just the way that the defense has been playing. There's been no real big plays coming from either side unless they played the Jets. So. I like the under in that one between the Panthers and Patriots. Real low scoring.
Yeah, that's part of my my parlay that I'm playing today. The big one that I'm on today, it's also an under, and we know that there's that big internet sports conglomeration that likes to say to what, or like, why waste time betting on the under. There have been 3 times this year that the Buffalo Bills have been favored by at least 14 points. All 3 of those games, the under has come in. And it's not because of the Buffalo Bills not scoring points. It's because they don't allow the other guys to score points.
Right.
And we've got a line at 48.5. So even if you give the Bills 34 points, that means the Jaguars are going to have to try and score 14 points against Buffalo. I don't see it happening. I'm all over the Bills covering and the under 48.5 in that game.
Yeah. Another one I'm looking at, a divisional matchup. It could go either way though, but the Browns and the Bengals, um, both defenses haven't looked too good here lately. That could possibly maybe end up being in the shootout just because the two different styles that they're going. Obviously, Cincinnati wants to throw the ball around with Joe Burrow and T Higgins and Jamar Chase. That and then like I said, the Browns defense has been probably one of the outside of Washington, they've probably been one of the more disappointing
Yep.
defenses this season for sure.
Yep.
So it could definitely be a shootout. And no Odell Beckham here for the Browns with the drama that they had this week. And obviously, if you look at the numbers, for some strange reason, they play better and do better with
Yeah.
Odell Beckham out of the lineup. So it's a chance that one could definitely be a shootout. Nick Chubb coming back as well, getting back into the flow of things. This could be a nice game for Jarvis Landry just because of how bad the defense for Cincinnati has been looking the past couple of weeks. It could be that could be an over right there that I can take. I think the line is at 47.5, so it could possibly hit 48.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at what the Jets were able to do against the Bengals, especially in the run game. He's not part of my sleepers, but I think that Dearness Johnson is definitely a candidate, especially with everything that's going on, so much up in the air. He's stepped right into the Kareem Hunt role
Yeah.
for the Cleveland Browns. So yeah, I do like that one as well. Houston Texans on the money line. Right now
Mm.
they're at a plus 180 over on the FanDuel Sportsbook. No Tua, no Devonta Parker, and the Miami defense has just been absolutely atrocious. If I can, and I'm not saying that Houston has been any good either. Both of these teams won week one and have lost 14 consecutive games amongst the two of them. But if I can get almost 2-1 for my money against the Miami Dolphins without their quarterback and number one receiver, I'm going to take it all the time, all day, especially with Tyrone Taylor coming back this week for Houston. I think Brandon Cooks is in for a big day. And who knows what we're going to see out of that running game. You can't start anyone because they're going to use 3 or 4 guys, but all that just means that everyone stays fresh throughout the game. I think that the value right now for me is just too much to pass up on. Taking the Texans at plus 180.
Yeah. Then I'm looking out for Minnesota and Baltimore. They have Baltimore here as a touchdown favorite over the Vikings. Them being at home, they had the bye week. I think they'll come back, refresh, recharge. Uh, might not be like a big bet, but I think it's a safe bet to go ahead and take
The
Baltimore on that spread
the
or just the money line.
Ravens, yeah, the Ravens are known to be one of the better teams coming off of the bye. That's just it's a weird stat, and believe me, I know all about this stat because the Giants are the worst. I don't know if the Giants have ever won coming off of a bye. It is amazing. And this year, who did they get out of the bye? Oh yeah, they get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football coming off of a bye.
Mm.
Yeah, so that trend will continue. But my third line that I like this week, here we're gonna go for an over, and it's gonna be in the Denver Broncos Dallas Cowboys game. Dak is back. I do know that Amari Cooper's a little. I mean, Cooper and Lamb are both playing. They're not 100%, but when everybody is in the lineup, it's a dangerous offense. They are the most balanced offense in the league right now. And I think it's just going to open up opportunities, and we'll talk about this a little bit in our sleepers. But I think that it offers a lot of garbage time points for the Denver Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there could right now it's at 49. I think that this can be an easy 34-24 type game
Right.
and get an easy cover. So, all right. So that is going to do it for our Vegas lines. Again, if you have any lineup questions, make sure you are leaving them in the comments. We will answer them live on air. Let's get into studs, duds, and sleepers. Quarterback stud of the week. Who you got?
I already mentioned this matchup before between Cleveland and Cincinnati, but I like Joe Burrow here as a stud this week. Um, I mean, he's been in the 20s here the last few games in a row. He's had a great season. I mean, why not continue it? And even last year, he had some pretty good games against Cleveland. And like I mentioned before, that defense, probably them and Washington, the two most disappointing defenses this season for sure. I think he continues to go ahead and light it up this week. I like Joe Burrow as a stud.
Yeah, Burrow was going to be my guy. My backup is Justin Herbert against Philadelphia. Justin Herbert, we've seen a couple times in his career him have really bad games, which he had last week. He bounces back. That's something that we've seen from Justin Herbert. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, all these guys are definitely in play. Jared Cook has been a consistent contributor. I also think that there's a chance that the Eagles are able to put up some points in this game. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be one that the Chargers are going to get up early and stop throwing the ball. So Justin Herbert's going to be my quarterback stud of the week. All right. Running back stud. Who you got?
Running back stud, probably a simple one. It's a safe one, but I just think he should have a well of a game just going against the defense he's playing. Aaron Jones in Green Bay. The fact that there's no Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love gets to start, which I may mention him later on, but I'll keep it there. But Aaron Jones against that Kansas City defense, I mean, why not? Just go ahead and play him. It should be him and AJ Dillon, AJ Dillon show for sure. Just because Matt LaFleur loves to run the ball anyway. That's how they've been so well the past two seasons. So I like Aaron Jones this week as an easy stud over that Kansas City defense.
Yeah, so just so you can see, Burrow and Aaron Jones. Burrow and Aaron Jones. We're on the same page.
We're here.
So obviously, Damian Harris is who I'm gonna fall back on. This is going to be a dirty game. Two defenses who have been playing well, but Damian Harris is the guy in New England. He's starting to get utilized more in the passing game, which is what we've been waiting for.
Right.
It took a James White injury for it to happen, but we're starting to see it. The pass rush for the Carolina Panthers is why I think they're going to rely on the running game more often. Damian Harris, I think, is in for a whale of a game. All right, wide receiver studs. Who you got?
I'm going with Cole Beasley this week. You really could kind of go with any probably Buffalo wide receiver this week against Jacksonville, but he had a pretty good game last week against Miami. He's been in the 20s in the PPR league the past few games here. Out of the last 3 or 4 or 5 games, he's been scoring exceptionally pretty well. And everybody should kind of almost have a pretty good game here against Jacksonville, especially if you have in the PPR league. I definitely like Cole Beasley.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Kadarius Toney. The Raiders are in quite a bit of turmoil. Between the whole John Gruden thing and now this week with the whole Henry Ruggs situation. And I mean, first of all, want to send thoughts and prayers to the friends and family of the woman who passed with her dog in the car in the Henry Ruggs incident. I was just in Vegas. I had left Vegas 2 days before this had happened. And from the hotel. I mean, when you would go out on the patio or have outdoor you hear it. You hear these cars. This is not something that's new for Las Vegas, but this is a team that no one knows what to expect from with the Raiders. The Giants are still without Saquon Barkley. They're still without Kenny Galladay, and they are going to be without Sterling Shepard again. We've seen that when that trio is out, Daniel Jones will look to Kadarius Toney early and often. Just look at the Cowboy game. I'm not saying we're going to see 10 for 189 and a touchdown, but I think an easy 7 for 110 is easily in the books for someone like Kadarius Toney. So I think that it's an easy play for me. And now stud tight ends.
I'm going with Zach Ertz. Mentioned before earlier with no DeAndre Hopkins. I think that Ertz can become a pretty nice target this week for the Cardinals.
Yeah. So right now, the word is that Kyler Murray is not expected to play.
Right.
And I think it's Colt McCoy. Is he their backup? Mm-hmm. And we saw in the 2 games that he played with the Giants last year, Colt McCoy targeted Evan Engram a lot. So he likes that safety valve. I think that Zach Ertz, especially without a DeAndre Hopkins who just commands all those targets. Yeah, Zach Ertz, especially in a PPR. It's tough to expect a touchdown right now, but in a PPR, I'm all about having Zach Ertz.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2, and I wanted to get one of them into the sleepers, but first of all, you can't get George Kittle in a sleeper. I mean, George Kittle. Not a lot of people know George Kittle is active. He's going to play in this game. First time since week 3 or 4 that we've seen George Kittle.
Mm-hmm.
Even if Deebo Samuel plays, he's not going to be 100%. This is a perfect opportunity for George Kittle to just get reacclimated right into the offense. Jimmy Garoppolo is playing, has had 2 weeks in a row where he's, looked more efficient. So, and I just don't believe in Brandon Ayuk. He has not given me any reason to believe that anything is going to happen before I see it. So, George Kittle, and the one that I really like this week is Dalton Schultz down in Dallas. I mentioned earlier that they are active, but Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb are both not healthy. They're not 100% healthy. I mean, we know that Dak Prescott loves his tight ends.
Right.
So I just think that this right now could be a slam dunk. I think we can easily see Dalton Schultz as a top 3 tight end this week. So that's how much I believe in him. He's in almost all of my my DFS lineup. So Dalton Schultz is where I'm going to go for my stud tight end. All right, Duds, who's your oh boy, your dud quarterback of the week?
My dud this week, I hate to have to say this, but he didn't look too good last week, and I thought he might have a pretty decent week, but he's definitely not going to have one this week. I'm going to go with Matt Ryan. There's no man, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, that Saints defense is very tough to get anything on. We saw what they did last week to Tom Brady. So the fact that he's having no Calvin Ridley, for some reason that Atlanta can't run the ball that well. Marshawn Lattimore is probably going to be on Kyle Pitts. It's a very tough matchup for Matt Ryan this week. So I'm definitely sitting him. He's a dud.
Yeah, that unmuting myself would be a nice thing. Yeah, obviously Matt Ryan is who I was going to go with. A guy that I'm starting to see a lot of people say, "Oh, well, I think we can get him against a bad defense, so I'm going to try and play him." That's Jordan Love. I'm seeing a lot of people have faith in Jordan Love against the Kansas City Chiefs. We saw last week the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Now, again, it was against the Giants, but one thing that Steve Spagnuolo loves to do is blitz. And having a quarterback making his first start against a team that's going to be active and in his face, I think it's just going to throw him off. Um, I'm not scared of playing Devontae Adams because I think the volume is going to be there. I think he's going to target Devontae Adams on 40 to 50, maybe like a 40% target share in this game. So in a PPR, I still think Devontae Adams will be okay. But I just cannot foresee myself playing someone like a Jordan Love. All right. Dud running back. Who you got?
It's kind of by a committee. Where I got my dud this week, but either or Melvin Gordon or Javonte Williams, just their backfield in
Yep.
for the Denver Broncos. It's hard to run right now on that Cowboys defense, and I think, as you mentioned before, the fact that the offense for the Cowboys are going to be out there, so many points going to be put up on the board. I just think they'll fall behind to where the fact they'll have to abandon that run game, and it's just going to be Teddy Bridgewater having to throw the ball out to them. Maybe catching the ball that can be involved, but as far as running, I'm staying away from both of those guys.
Yeah, it's fine because I almost put down Denver running backs as my, but the guy that I'm staying away from Joe Mixon. The one thing that the Browns have been able to do is control the running game. They've been giving it up in the passing game, so I think that obviously Burrow was both of our stud. I think we can see big games from all three of Higgins, Boyd, and Chase. I mean, Jamar Chase has just been unbelievable this year.
I thought he couldn't catch the ball.
Yeah, exactly. He was so bad in preseason, and then that whole thing with him and not understanding the differences between a college ball and an NFL ball. I did not draft Jamar Chase anywhere. I have 0 shares of Jamar Chase because of what I saw in preseason, and come back to bite me in the butt. But Joe Mixon, I just I don't see it this week. I think he's fine for your season-long league. There's no way I'm starting him in DFS. He's just too much, and I think I can find much better value anywhere else. All right, wide receiver, who you got?
My dud wide receiver this week, I'm going with Devonta Smith. Hasn't scored a touchdown since the opening week. I'm not sure what's going on, where he hasn't gotten like the targets or the productivity these last few weeks, especially these last 3-4 games. They had some pretty favorable matchups where he probably could have got going, and now this week playing against that Chargers secondary, I would probably stay away from Devonta Smith this week.
Yeah, it's been so weird because you saw the glimpses in preseason with his route running, and they just have not been able to figure out how to get him in space. I'm going DJ Moore. The one thing that we've always seen is that the New England Patriots are going to take away your best option.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it wasn't until yesterday that I even thought that there was a chance Christian McCaffrey was going to play this week. I think the game plan for and obviously Christian McCaffrey is active. He will be playing. I still think that he's somewhere between 50 and 70% of the snaps He will have the majority of the snaps, but it won't be the 90 to 95 that we typically see from McCaffrey. I don't think he's going to be the focus of the New England Patriots defense this week. I think they're going to try and take away DJ Moore as their main focus. So, and last week there was a lot of people who were wondering who they were going to take. Was it going to be Mike Williams? Was it going to be Keenan Allen? They let Keenan Allen beat him underneath, and Mike Williams was their focus, and it was Mike Williams' worst game of the year last week. So it's what they do. And DJ Moore, even though their body styles are not very similar, their game is very similar between him and Mike Williams. So I do think that this could be a down week for DJ Moore. And dud tight end.
My dud tight end this week, I'm going with Tyler Higbee. I just think that the matchup for them against the Titans, I see more so the wide receivers getting all the attention. Of course, obviously, Cooper Kupp is probably in the running for like fantasy MVP for sure. Robert Woods could get going. Even Van Jefferson might can come out and do a little bit. So I just think the matchups this week against the Titans work better for their receivers than they do the tight end, because the Titans do kind of handle the tight ends pretty well, because they held Travis Kelce on the check, and although the wide tight ends they've had, but the wide receivers has had pretty good games against them. Michael Pittman had a good game against them. Both games that they played.
They're bad against quarterbacks. They're bad against running backs. They're bad against wide receivers. But tight ends,
tight ends, they pretty much kind of held them in check. So
yep.
It's just the matchup for him this week just doesn't bode well for him. So that's why Tyler Higbee is the dud for him.
Yep, and this is someone that you mentioned, and it goes along with Matt Ryan, and it's Kyle Pitts for me. Kyle Pitts is the Saints are not. They're not worried about sticking Lattimore on a tight end. They just want Lattimore on whoever the best pass catcher is. And without Calvin Ridley, I don't think they're going to use him to spy Cordarrelle Patterson out of the backfield. Kyle Pitts is the most dangerous. He's not a tight end. He's a wide receiver. But he's listed as a tight end, so we'll go with it. But I think that they're going to make sure Kyle Pitts does not beat them this week, which is why I actually also do like the under in this game. Trevor Simeon's going to be starting for the Saints. No surprise, I thought they were going to go with Taysom Hill, but it's gonna be Simeon against a battered Atlanta Falcons offense. So I do like the under. So I'm staying away. Kyle Pitts is my dud tight end. All right, on to the sleepers of the week, and we will start off with our sleeper quarterback. Who you got?
All right. So I went with two because I wasn't quite sure what might have.
I've got two also, so we'll see. I'm sure your two are my two. So.
But at one point I had I went with Taysom Hill, just one question, because I figured maybe the Saints would probably go with him. I mean, even if he doesn't start, he might see the field today. Somehow, some way, put in some type of package for him. I mean,
yeah, he'll see snaps.
Yeah. So he was kind of one, and then my other one, which kind of goes back echoing to that Denver Dallas matchup, was going to be Teddy Bridgewater, just because of the fact that they're probably going to end up being in the shootout, and just for them to even keep up with Dallas, he's going to have to throw the ball around. So those were my two sleepers that I had at quarterback.
Yeah, Teddy B was my guy. Again, same with what you just said, same with what I said earlier. It's going to be a game that it's going to be up to Teddy Bridgewater to keep them in this game. Their wide receivers are as healthy as they've been all year. They will be without Noah Fant this week, which we'll mention again in the tight end sleepers. But again, and earlier we were saying that neither one of us liked the Denver running game this week. So, yeah, Teddy Bridgewater is what would have been my guy. I'm going with someone who is strictly a tournament play in in DFS this week. I can't see myself playing him in a season long lineup. I think there are too many other options, but he's as cheap as it comes, and it's Tyrone Taylor. Uh, he offers more with his feet. Uh, where he has a really good connection with Brandon Cooks. That's why I think Brandon Cooks has a big week this week also.
Yeah.
Um, and I think he's going to utilize his running backs out of the backfield. He's a really good check down quarterback. And he's got David Johnson, he's got Philip Lindsay, and he's got Rex Burkhead. All three have excelled in the past as pass catching running backs. So Tyrod Taylor is going to be my my deep sleeper in terms of getting some value in DFS.
Yeah, he's definitely the streamer option for sure. For today's game, definitely. I like that one too. I saw that one too, and I was like, that would be a good one too. I
Yep.
like Tyrod Taylor as a deep sleeper.
All right, who you got a running back?
And running back, I'm going with Boston Scott. Um, there's been no Miles Sanders, and at first it seemed like the talk was going to be that it was going to be Kenneth Gainwell, the rookie that they drafted out of Memphis, but he was pretty much null and void last week against Detroit, and Scott turned out to be probably the best option that they had out of
Yep.
the running backs that they had last week. I can see they can continue to going for him. I like him as a sleeper this week.
Yeah, I've got two guys as well for my running backs. One is going to be Jeremy Mcnichols. I think a lot of people are expecting it to be an Adrian Peterson week. I'm not sold on that. One, he's only been on the team for 5 days
Right.
on the active roster since yesterday. Jeremy McNichols has been there. I think he was even there last year as well.
Yeah.
He had gotten a start when Henry had missed last year. They're also going up against the Rams, and I know a lot of people are worried about the matchup with the Rams. I think the Rams are going to score a lot of points, and Jeremy McNichols is going to be a decent PPR running back this week. I think he has the potential to, excuse me, to get you 5 catches out of the backfield, along with whatever he adds in the running game. So that's one that I like, and another one that I like is Myles Gaskin. Houston, especially if Tyrod Taylor is able to put up points, Gaskin's going to be involved in terms of, again, the pass game. But I think they're going to try and get him involved more in the running game the way they had it last year. Myles Gaskin has been one of the biggest duds throughout the season in terms of getting value out of where you're drafting someone. So he's been disappointing so far. I think he can have a decent game this week. All right, wide receiver, who you got?
I'm going with Hunter Renfro as a sleeper. again. I mean, on the DFS too. He's the DFS price for him. I think on DraftKings he was like 4,800. FanDuel was like 5,600. And obviously the fact that there's no Henry Ruggs there anymore. And the targets look like it'll go to him and Brian Edwards for sure. And they had their best game a couple weeks ago against Philadelphia before their bye week. So he should be getting a good bulk of the targets there for a good streamer option this week.
Yeah, PPR, Hunter Renfro is going to be gold this week. I think if you're in a non-PPR, I think Brian Edwards is a really decent play. I think we can see him get more involved into the offense without Henry Ruggs there. This has to be the time for Bryan Edwards. We've been waiting for it, and I was a huge Bryan Edwards fan coming out of South Carolina. I thought he was going to make a real impact as a rookie last year. He was my favorite last round pick in my fantasy drafts last year. And it didn't happen for Bryan Edwards. And we've seen a couple big games from him, but how many of them have been? He's had one catch going into the final 5 minutes of the game, and that's when he goes off. So this has to be the time for Bryan Edwards, and I do think that this could be a week that Bryan Edwards has a chance to go off. A guy that I'm looking at, and again, this would be more in terms of a DFS play. And this is one where I'm actually going to possibly play a Falcon. And it would be Tajay Sharp. I think he has established himself on the depth chart ahead of Russell Gage. If Matt Ryan's going to look anywhere especially if Lattimore is going to be on Pitts, I think we can see Sharp with a couple targets this week and get some cheap DFS points. Again, I probably won't be playing him in any of my season-long leagues, but he's a real interesting DFS start throw this week. All right, let's cap it off with our sleeper tight ends.
All right, my sleeper tight end this week, I'm going with Minnesota's Tyler Conklin.
Yeah, I like Conklin this week too.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins has definitely been looking at him more often than not here the past few weeks. Baltimore kind of struggles a little bit from time to time with the tight end position too, which is kind of surprisingly because they normally hold their position up pretty good. And I mean, his DFS is pretty cheap too. It's just 3,000 on DraftKings. I want to say it's about maybe 5,200 on FanDuel. So definitely just for a DFS one-time streaming option, I like Tyler Conklin. I had another one in mind, but I think you might have it, so I don't want to say anything. And I'm gonna let you see where you go.
So there's one that I wrote down and one that I was talking about. So the one I wrote down was Dan Arnold. Again, this is all about garbage time. The Buffalo Bills, it's crazy. They're the number one defense against quarterbacks, the number one defense against running backs, the number one defense against wide receivers. The only area they're not is against tight end, which they're 8th against. I mean, that's insane. That they're that good against all positions. But Dan Arnold has a chance that they're going to have to throw the ball most of the game. The wide receivers, I don't think there's anyone you can trust. So why not? It's an interesting dart throw. And then the other guy that I like is Albert Okwuegbunam. Yeah, Albert O in Denver without Noah Fant. This guy is a ridiculous athlete, and he just does not get as many opportunities. Obviously, he's got Noah Fant in front of him. And Noah Fant is a really good athlete. I think Albert O is a better athlete than Noah Fant. I think, given the opportunity to shine, I think he can cash in. So, Albert O. I do have Albert O in a couple of my lineups this week. So this is a really weird week in terms of all the injuries and everybody that's not playing, including. I love when I get to hit the breaking news button. Kyler Murray is not going to be playing today. So make your lineup adjustments accordingly. except to the one person that I am playing this week that does have Kyler Murray currently in his lineup. Yeah, playing against him, and he does have Jimmy Garoppolo on his bench. They're playing in the same game, so he's got a couple hours. I hope he's not watching, but so that's going to do it for this week. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. Check out Backsports page on all social media at Backsports page. And let's do this again next week.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right.
Definitely.
All right. Thanks again, everyone. Marthony will be in touch. And have a great week, everyone. Good luck.